And there we go. Yep. And audio check. All right. So anyway, it's my pleasure to come to you today. And for myself, I wake up every morning at five something before I come out here to the start this Zoom at 6 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. It's has been such a pleasure. I have learned so much, and we're going to truly take a deep dive into. I think it's so important. I'm one of those people uh, that say the witnesses are most essential when it comes uh, uh, to or to validating Joseph Smith's prophetic calling, and that's what we're really focused in on today. Um, is that is that uh, uh, is talking about, and let me share the screen here real quick, and do it this way. So again, the witnesses are so essential today, and what we okay, okay, here we go. It says I can remain true to the what I know, even if others reject me, and I think that's important. Um, Again, how many times were uh, people rejected are rejected? I mean, I have I call them adopted brother and sister-in-law who joined the church. The husband is uh, a Jew, and his parents, of course, rejected him for joining the church, and his wife was Catholic, and her parents rejected her whenever, and so what happened is the my wife's parents kind of embraced her um, and brought her in, and now they're uh, uh, embraced my uh, adopted sister-in-law and brought her in and created such a bond. They know she called them mom and dad, and and that was their daughter. Over time, the parents did reconcile their differences with the children, but again, they were willing to walk to accept the uh, position that their parents uh, had basically disowned them for them because they uh, just because they had um, joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I think that's commendable on their part. It's a hard thing. I mean, nobody wants um, that to be a decision they have to make, but they knew the church was true, and for that cause, they joined and respectfully loved their parents equally, and but no matter what their position was, they weren't going to deny the blessings of the gospel in their lives, and the fact that their Father in heaven loved them enough to share that moment with them to let them know that this work is true. And you hear these stories all the time. Um, when my children walked away from church, I never stopped loving them. Uh, I still love them no matter what their decisions are. But that's important, not to reject what you know is true. Uh, and then no matter what the circumstances are. And we can see that throughout Joseph Smith's life. He never denied. But I wanted to make sure that we welcome those who are joining us at this time. It's my pleasure um, uh, to teach the Come Follow Me curriculum over Zoom, and it's my pleasure to uh, bring forth the good news of the gospel in any way that I can. So let me make sure that we can see each other. I like, knowing that I'm presenting myself physically as much as spiritually and articulating. But anyway, let me remind you to share this video, like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel, and make sure you hit the notification button that anytime that I come on, that you'll have uh, uh, warning that here I go again. Molly's going to be here every day. I will not waver from this, no matter what the situation is. And so far, so good. 32 days straight, and here I am. Uh, I again before I was just listening to this to the curriculum, not actually engaging with it, and I wouldn't even watch the videos that were presented with it, the talks that go with it. So this is a great improvement, and it's all motivated because I have, bless me, and thank you, because I have people that are actually uh, are affected by this. And again, whether I just put out an announcement, it reminds people to wake up with the Lord on Facebook so that they can prepare themselves for the day. If you just watch for the first minute or so, you know that I've made it, you know, that I haven't stopped, or maybe you made it to the end and actually received some kind of inspiration. Again, this is about the individual first. We need to get kickstart in the morning. We need to be yoked with the Lord first thing, right out the door. We need to have his presence locked in with us immediately, because the world is not going to get any easier. It's going to get uh it's going to increase um um, exponentially when it comes to what Satan is going to unleash to bring harm to the good people of this world. Again, we talk about the last days. The last days might not be for another 25 years. We don't know, because of the way the numbers work out, and depending on, and there's lots of work to be done. There's so much in the prophecies that have not taken place that we uh, know that are essential for God's work to, or that uh, for the uh, for the second coming, as they would call it. Anyway, again, thank you for joining me. Now, again, if you have a story, if you have something that you would like to share about your experience of being rejected because you've embraced the gospel of Jesus Christ, then then I want you to, leave a comment or whatever. Maybe you want to share it someday. Everybody's welcome to come and join me here. I don't discriminate against anybody except for those who would want to tear down what we're trying to do, and that's to bring the Spirit of God uh, uh, to uh, Spirit of God to um, be a companion throughout the day, the Holy Spirit to guide us. Just give me a second. I'm going to turn off my heater here because it makes a lot of noise. And then I would say not really actively looking for a heater. I got this room out here that's separate from all the other rooms, so it doesn't have central heating, but it stays pretty warm really quick because all the insulation I put in here to keep it from being noisy in my daughter's room. Anyway, again, I really appreciate this time that we have to share together. So it says, after his remarkable first vision, Joseph Smith naturally wanted to share his experience with others. The opposition he faced surprised him. As you read his account, what inspires you to remain true to your testimony? Um, because I'm blessed by it. I truly am blessed by it. Again, my experiences, I had such a life of just, it wasn't good. Um, I grew up in an impoverished family. My dad was an alcoholic. Now, he was a good man, but there were moments in his life that he became very violent, and it, and he acted out on that violence with my mom, and I've had experiences. I mean, we kind of interesting that my when I was born, my great grandmother, I have an older brother, and he was not being treated the best. Probably shaken baby syndrome, and they put aspirin in his milk or his formula or whatever when he was an infant, trying to get him to sleep because they didn't want to be bothered by him. And so he wasn't, so basically he was being abused by the parents. And uh, and so I was born, and my great grandmother, after I was born, moved in with us. And so she was there, and she was she had raised my dad. Um, so she ruled the written net. She ruled over all that lived in that house, and there wasn't nobody going to talk back or make any noise with her. So she really had but even with that, we were still uh, concerned for our safety. My great grandmother would grab us, and uh, would get into the car and drive around late at night to um, just to get till things cooled down. Um, and so even one night, I've told this story before. It's a fun story, but it's still tragic to think that children have to go through this. So again, my dad was being hostile to say the least, and so we got into the car, and he came out, and he staggering drunk, and my great grandmother, she's in her 60s, I believe at the time. Let's see, 70s. She was born in 1900, so in her 70s or just barely turning 70. So she threw her car into what she thought was reverse, and then the car went forward, and he was standing in front of it, and she knocked him over. You could have knocked him over with a feather, but he was so inebriated. But she said, "I killed him. I killed him," and she backed up and took off anyway. Didn't even stop. Um, she, but she protected us. One of the things that happened to me whenever I was a child, um, I dream, and I'm a dreamer, and I dream a lot, and I had this specific dream for months on end that uh, me and my brother and we and in this dream we're like 5 or 6 years old, where that be, and then we were in a loft of a or in the attic of a hospital, and we're looking down in through this, how they have an opening for in the attic into rooms and stuff like that. Maybe we're looking down into this. room and there's a bed there, and everyone every time in this dream, and like I said, I had it repetitively all the time, he would push me into the room, and I'd land in the bed and I would be stuck there without being able to move, and I would be like pinned uh, down, and I had my family around me, my mom and dad, and my cousins, and they would be talking, but I wouldn't be interacting with them. It'd be like they're just they are communicating with each other, but I didn't have any interaction with them. So much later on in my life, I've always asked the question, what makes me uh, what's my response mechanism? What makes me what's that trigger that creates the most amount of response? Um, and it came to me that I like to help people. I love to help. So when people say help, I'm like all over it, because it makes me that it's a trigger word. So I can only imagine in that dream what had happened is my brother had forced me into the family where I didn't belong. Again, I am who I am now. And if you knew me then, I wasn't the same kind of human being because I was developed by the society I was in and the upbringing. As a horrible human being. And the reason I'm going back that far just to kind of articulate that without the gospel, I couldn't have this change. But anyway, so I'd get pushed into this room every time in this dream, and my family be talking around me, but uh, I wasn't interacting with them. And it came to my knowledge later on, like about 54 or whatever I was, and I just got out of the temple and I was thinking, what makes me click? And I'm always asking this question. And and it came to me that I like to help people. And I was like, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. In the pre-existence, maybe I was asked to come to this family because my brother needed help. And because whenever I came into the family, my great grandmother moved in, and I've been able to because of that, we were protected. My brother was protected, even when he was, after being alone, he was not being cared for in the best way. Um, but again, my wife embraces that story well enough that it doesn't make it hard for me to have to uh, to be compelled to help him financially or whatever I need to do to take care of him. And I still do today. So we're, like I said, uh, again, that's the kind of environment I grew up. And whenever I got married, I took on some of my dad's traits, but I never drank or smoked or do drugs. But I was into porn, and me and my wife were just not good. We had children. She had a child before I married her, but I embraced that child as my own and still do. Love my oldest daughter. She's just such a wonderful child. But we were violent with each other, you know, and we didn't care what kind of music we listened to. We didn't care what kind of movies we were watching. Everything was open, you know. We did, but we were wrong in the way we treated each other, and we had no relationship with God. And we'd been married for 13 years, and things were just as bad as they could be. You got four kids in the house, and one of them's mine, and the other three are not, but I embrace them all. I love all my children. They mean so much to me. I have eight children now because my second wife that I married, she had four, and we combined the children, and there's eight is enough. I love my children. They are so wonderful. We love each other, and I've never stopped loving them, no matter what the situation is. But again, me and my first wife were married for 13 years, and then we were had no religion within us, and then my wife at the time, she had done some wrong and had a child, or was pregnant with another man's child, actually a teenager's uh, a child she was carrying. And so she wanted to get religion. And I was like, and she said, it was funny that the bishop, my bishop that was visiting my great aunt, I was over there with my great aunts who helped raise me a lot too. Um, she had, uh, uh, he was there and he says, AJ, you ever consider coming back to church? And I said, nope, not until my wife does. Uh, and then, sure enough, 2 years later, my wife makes that decision to want to go back to church, and and I was like, yeah, well, okay, I've tried this before. It's a failed experiment to say the least, and I didn't have any real, um, I didn't really have any draw. It really didn't. Life was good. I mean, in a lot of ways, life was good. Yeah, we had our serious problems, but you don't know that they're serious problems until you wake up, until you actually are enlightened by your Father in heaven, Jesus Christ, that you are uh, the way that you're treating people is completely wrong. I was violent against other people too, and so I had no real cause or reason to attach myself to the gospel or go to church. But my wife wanted to go back, and so I said, "Well, yeah, let's go. Okay, whatever." So we went, and then I don't know. I really don't. Things started to change in my life, and and they changed rapidly. They changed immensely. Um, my music changed. The kind of movies I was watching changed. The kind of everything changed, and there was still some struggles in the family, but things were changing. And there was an event that took place, and again, I basically left her, and we never got back together. Tried a couple of times, but didn't work. And but I embraced the gospel, and the gospel embraced me, and I was truly born again. So it's when you have that change of life in such a dramatic way, then it is the and what you've embraced is so much better than what you embraced before. That you felt the darkness, that I know darkness and I know light of that, um, because of that intersection that I came to, where I was in the dark spiritually, had no light in me. And then all of a sudden, I was presented with light, and I embraced that light, and the light became a part of me. And again, that's the problem with a lot of of um, of members, teenagers especially, that leave the church. They want a dramatic change in their lives, but that dramatic change seems so hard when it comes to you've already developed these life skills that are supposed to be create um, a place uh, of wholesome goodness and peace, and you're blessed with the because you have such good parents who keep the commandments and they go to church and all these things. And most teenagers are when they turn, 17, 18 years old, they want a dramatic change in their lives. They want something different. So they never embrace the next level of spirituality in their lives. They always embrace, they lots of times they embrace the world. And the world uh that uh significant change that happens in their lives. So again, I had that significant change, and now I know that the gospel is true because it developed the human being I am. And I never trade what I have today for all you know, the worldly things I had in yesterday, in that yesterday world. I never would. It's just so dark over there. I love the light. And so again, I'm not, I've been rejected by, by, and not, I've been rejected by not in a, I don't know if I've ever been rejected. Um, I've never had that experience. My dad always loved me, and my mom's always loved me, even though that they left me about 11 years old. But they've always loved me, and no matter what decision I made, they were happy that I was around. So I've never had that rejection experience. But I know people that have. Um, but I've had to leave a lot of things behind, not to reject anybody, but to know that I've had to step away from that lifestyle, which takes me away from some of the friends that I had and associated with in a meaningful bond because their life is different than mine. And I had to escape that world. I wouldn't, and I still embrace them as my friends and I love them, but that doesn't mean I want to participate in in the way that they live life. Anyway, so that's why even if if I were, I say it this way, if I were the only one that claimed that Joseph Smith was a prophet of God in this world, I'm okay with that. I don't have to have other people. If everybody in the world rejected me, I would. I mean, being fired, I guess, is being rejected because of my morals. That's being rejected. Not being able to be put in positions because of my high moral ground that I have established for myself. People, I asked the manager of a plant that I work for, why uh, is there any chance for me to be put in that position? He said, because you're my high moral ground that you stand upon, I can't do that. So I've been rejected in that way. As you read his account, what inspires you to remain true to your testimony? And that's a question. So if you have a comment that you want to leave, or if you will actually come on, just send me like I said, message me, uh, uh, or look for me on Facebook at Arthur AJ Hill, or on the Facebook group For the Love of God. Also, you can find me on for the a Latter-day Saint on Fire on Instagram, and also there's a YouTube channel I have, Latter-day Saint on Fire. You can see me there, and I've done a lot of content there. So, and then Paul and AJ's Ex-Mormon Files is another um, uh, YouTube channel. Got a lot of heated discussions there about the gospel. Um, but there's again, if you want to participate, if you are, let's say you're clicking in and you're like, this guy's boring. Well, I wouldn't be boring if you were here with me and participating, now would I? All right. So I'm just poking at you guys to come to fill space here so that so that you feel a part of this, because uh, uh, that's how you really become one with the gospel, or one with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You have to be a full participant in the church. You can't just go to church in the pews and just listen. You actually have to communicate and participate. You actually have to do missionary work to be fully engaged with the church. You have to go to the temple to fully be a part of the church, all right? And to fully engage with the gospel. You have to do ancestry work, and there's so much we can do. Now we can't do it all. There's passions that we have that we really lock in on, but that we can still participate in the other ones, but passionately do the ones that we know how to do. Serving is a great part of that. Um, so from the scriptures, or excuse me, what other examples from the scriptures, an ancestor or people you know give you courage to stay true to the spiritual experiences you have had? All right. And so again, I was just let me see if I can bring it up here real quick. Find it here. Uh, I'm always inspired by uh, the the women, the females of of Joseph Smith's time, and so let me share this screen here. Uh, oh, I guess I don't have to transition. Anyway, I just want to make sure I was on it. Um, again, I I went through and I'm looking for uh, uh, what Lucy Mack Smith said about the first vision, but she doesn't say anything in her journal. She goes right to the Book of Mormon. But I think it's important to think about her as a mother who is watching her child in so many adverse situations, and she this is what it says, a mother's, excuse me, a mother's testimony. And this is Lucy Mack Smith, the mother of Joseph Smith. About 4 years after the first vision, the angel Moroni appeared to young Joseph several times, telling him about the book written on gold plates, and preparing him for the work that lay ahead. Lucy Mack Smith tells how her 18-year-old uh, prophet son shared the wondrous news of the Book of Mormon and the restoration with the Smith family. By sunset, we were all seated, and Joseph commenced telling us the great and glorious things which God had manifested him to him. He proceeded to relate particulars. And again, a lot of people use her journal to like uh, infuse this idea that the first person he meets is the angel, that he doesn't have this first vision experience. But if you read the journal, actually, you can see where she's talking about one idea, and then she transitioned to a place, because she's only talking about those things that are really, what would you say, profound to her, that are her experiences, and how she actually uh, has a identity with those events. The first vision, she doesn't really have the kind of emotional attachment to Joseph Smith's experience as she does when the Book of Mormon is brought forth. So that's why she doesn't fill in the details on her thoughts about that, because again, that was Joseph Smith's experience. Maybe she didn't want to take something that was sacred in such a way that was belonged to him, and allow him to articulate that and let him tell the story of that interaction with her. I don't know, but she doesn't do it. But that's not to say that she didn't know about it, but because again, uh, in 1845, when she's writing this journal, Joseph Smith has told the story about the first vision enough that she's heard about. She's read it probably, that she knows that this event took place. So if she's trying to create uh, a, trying to follow a narrative, a false narrative about Joseph Smith being a prophet of God, then she would again insert that her interaction with Joseph Smith on this first vision thing. But because she doesn't, I would say that validates the first vision even more. I mean, that's the way because I know that Joseph Smith, prophet of God. So I, I read things towards that, understanding. So by sunset, we were all seated, and Joseph commenced telling us the great and glorious things which God had manifested to him. He proceeded to relate particulars concerning the work which he was appointed to do, and he received them joyfully. From this time forth, Joseph continued to receive instruction from the Lord, and we continued to get the children together every evening for the purpose of listening while he gave us a relation of the same. I presume our family presented an aspect as singular as many have that ever lived upon the face of the earth, all seated in a circle, father, mother, sons, and daughters, and giving the most profound attention to a boy, 18 years old of age, who had never read the Bible through in his life. He seemed to much less inclined to the pers pers perusal perusal of the books than any of the rest of the children, but far more given to meditation and deep study. Oh, I want to say this. I might have read it, but I don't remember this. All right. Again, Joseph Smith was not an intellect. And this is her telling us he's not an intellect. He's not into reading. I identify with this because I hate reading. I really do. The only reason I can read as well as I do is uh, because the Spirit moved upon me and I can actually read things. All right. Uh, but anyway, and then he's a meditator. He's a deep studier. He's not into reading. Again, I love that because I really identify, and I really appreciate her bringing that up. But she is having these experience. She's having these experience and with Joseph Smith, and she's again near her end of her days uh, in 1845, and she's writing this journal, and she's never wavered from the fact that she knew her son was a prophet of God, and she had, and what reason the saints eventually moved west. All right, she's no longer has any reason to continue on with the lie that the antis out there uh, want to insert as uh, as a reason or cause for Joseph Smith and the development of the church. She she's left there with Emma Smith, the widow of Joseph Smith. And so what reason does she really and what reason does she have to continue a fabrication of events when the church has left her to Utah because they've been driven out of the United States? None. All right. She could have set herself up for the rest of her days real easy and helped Emma pay off debt by just saying, "Hey, whoever's available, I'll tell you a story that you wanted to hear." And this will expose the whole thing so that you can finally shut down the church. She doesn't do that because she knew that what she was writing was true. All right. So remember these things. The closest people to Joseph Smith are not walking away from her. So I want to go find another story real quick. Um, let's see here. All right, now I'm going to share my screen so you guys can follow along while I'm trying to uh, find what I'm finding. Let's see here. Uh, uh, Joseph Smith Sr. is put in jail because he would not deny the Book of Mormon. I hope we can find that story. Um, yep, here it is. Let's see if we can find it from. Okay, good, good. All right, you guys with me on this? All right, appreciate those who are following along with us. I appreciate when people can share this video, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. And please join me live here on Zoom through Zoom link. I will share that with you. Again, if you're bored by the content, well, do something about it. All right. Don't be standing by and say, "Oh, how boring is this old man?" And he ain't really. Well, then come and join me. Make this a lively discussion, so that we can all embrace the gospel together. This is a place where I'm the reason I'm doing this is it benefits me. And then but I'm staying motivated because I have people out there that are actually watching it. And so I get up every morning. I hate getting up in the morning. I hate reading. All right. And, but I do this because somebody is being affected by what I'm presenting, and that's enough. Like I said, so I'm not complaining at all. I love it. I really do. And it's the first time really I'm taking deep dives into the life of Joseph Smith in a real way. And it's making me even come to the conclusion, even by immeasurable amounts, that Joseph Smith was a prophet of God, that there's no way that he was an intelligent human being, and that somehow that his brother went to Dartmouth College and was feeding him information on geography in the Middle East uh, 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 and uh, culture and religious culture and things like that of people, indigenous people in the United States. It's just absurd idea because that's not what happened. I mean, Hiram Smith was 11 years old. All right, 11 years old when he went to this school that was affiliated with Dartmouth College. So at 11 years old, he's telling his brother, who's 8 years old, 7 years old, who's suffering, that all these incredible things about or this information now Joe Smith from the age of 8 or whatever, when he's suffering with typhoid fever and the leg problem. Oh yeah, he's embracing all this stuff and he's going to use it when he's 18, 19, 20 years old to come up with some kind of uh, fiction that he calls scripture. Absurd idea. There's no way. All right. So the absurdities in the uh, that uh, that are presented by those who want to tear down the church are just becoming more and more clear that they're even more absurd. Uh, uh, so anyway, let's read about Joseph Smith Sr. All right, when Joseph Smith Sr. went to jail after refusing to burn the Book of Mormon. The following was written by Lucy Mack Smith and tells the story of when a Quaker calls upon Joseph Smith Sr. to pay a debt for $14. Joseph cannot pay, but is given the option to burn the Book of Mormon and be forgiven the debt. Joseph refuses to and goes to jail. A large mob gathers to pilfer the Smith home when only Lucy and little Lucy are present. Mother Smith prays that her family will be safe. Again, Lucy Mack Smith is being harassed by mobs after her husband been taken to jail because of the Book of Mormon. Her husband goes to jail because of the Book of Mormon, right? So again, they're giving up too much as parents, as a family, to 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 continue on this path where if they were lying, there's no way that they go through these things. Absolutely no way. It's just not it's not enough because they're not getting anything out. They're always impoverished. They never have it's a financial burden upon them to do all these things. All right. So they're not getting rich. They're being forced from one place to another and reestablish their family. All right. So they're not, this is not, just imagine this. That you move, you, you're, you're forced out of your town because your children are being wrongfully, or uh, like, um, your child is being, severely abused by the children at school, and for in whatever way the bullying and things like that. And so you move away from that school because of that. And then you try to sell your family there. And then you find out that the bullying didn't stop. It just rose up again because somebody from the school, that same school, had friends in this other school. And they started bullying your child or your children because, oh, just because. And then you keep moving. And there's no place for you to find rest, for your children to be safe, because it just continues to perpetuate itself everywhere you're going. Could you imagine being in that situation? All right. Well, this is a situation that the Smith family's in. All right. They settle in one place, and then all of a sudden, the family's being the mobs are coming and uh, trying to run them out. Uh, anyway, so get back to this story. A large mob gathers to pilfer the Smith home when only Lucy and little Lucy are present. Mother Smith prays that her family will be safe. Son William Smith arrives and immediately breaks up the mob. Now, William is supposed to be a pretty large human being, and so Samuel goes to help his father in jail. Joseph Sr. works for 30 days in jail, in the jail yard to pay his debt, preaches the gospel, and baptizes two people. On the same day that Hiram left Colesville, I believe we'll see. On the same day that Hiram left for Colesville, which was Wednesday, the neighbors began to call one after another and inquire very particularly for Hiram. This gave me great anxiety, for I knew that they had no business with him. The same night, my husband was taken rather ill and continuing unwell the next day. He was unable to take breakfast with me. Uh, About 10 o'clock, I commenced preparing him some milk porridge. But before it was ready for him, a Quaker gentleman called to see him. And the following is the substance of their conversation, the, quoting the Quaker. Friend Smith, I have a note against thee for $14, which I have lately bought, and I have come to see if thou hast the money for me. So he wasn't the one that Joseph Smith Sr. was indebted first with. The Quaker uh, paid the note off, that paid the money that was due to the other person that owned it. And so why would he do that? You know? And so, Mr. Smith, why, sir, did you purchase that note? Okay, so again, Joseph Smith Sr. saying, why, sir, did you purchase that note? You certainly were in no want of the money, quoting the Quaker. That is business of my own. I want the money. I must have it. Joseph saying, I can pay you $6 now. The rest you will have to wait for, as I cannot get it for you. Quaker says, no, I will not wait 1 hour. And if thou dost not pay me immediately, thou shalt go to forthwith to the jail, unless running to the fireplace and making violent gestures with the with his hands towards and she's describing the event, towards the fire, thou wilt burn those books of Mormon. But if thou wilt burn them up, I will forgive thee the whole debt. And Joseph says, that I shall not do. Quaker, then thou shalt go to jail. Sir, I interrupt, taking my gold beads from my neck and holding them toward him. Uh, these beads are the full value of the remainder of the debt. I beseech you to take them and be satisfied to give up the note. All right? No, all the Quaker wanted to do is get Joseph Smith Sr. to deny the Book of Mormon and to make hay about it. And Joseph Smith Sr. says, no, ain't going to happen. All right. So here again, he's putting too much into it. He's not getting anything out of it. I imagine if he wanted to, he could just look, I owe you a debt. It's obviously this is the way I would have been it. If I was owed somebody a debt and I had this fabricated this story and he's either going to put me in jail if I don't burn this Book of Mormon. And like I said, I'm the one who fabricated the whole thing, uh, or and with my son, and be like, well, $14 debt, but these words that I speak to you are probably worth a lot more. How much do you have? Would anybody that in that situation being poor, having $6 at that time wasn't very much money at all. Still, he could have gained a lot of money from that Quaker by exposing the supposed lie that people keep talking about. But he didn't, because he knew that all the events surrounding the Book of Mormon, its coming forth of the Book of Mormon, were absolutely true. All right. So uh, he could not deny something that was given to him by God, and therefore, again, he was rejected, in a serious way. So we have so many of these stories that are that that are out there of his family, and there's so many of them that we could could not get through them all. But what we are doing here is just kind of giving you examples. And you could know about Emma Smith, you could know about David Whitmer, Martin Harrison, and Oliver Cowdery, and Hiram Page, and what he went through, and Hiram Smith. Look what he went through. all of his life, being right there with Joseph Smith. And unfortunately, we don't have enough written about Hyrum Smith, I would say. That he's not he's not the first thought when we talk about the brothers. It's always Joseph Smith. And somehow Hyrum Smith. I can't wait till they really bring out a journal. I'm going to have to, I'll look for one online. I think his story is so significant. Remember, he's he parallels Aaron in the Bible, and Joseph Smith parallels Joseph Smith in the Bible. And Hiram's children are the descendants that carry on in the church that you read about, or that you know about. Those are members of the Church of Jesus Christ. And Moses' children seem to disappear from off the pages of the Bible after he dies. That really we don't know his children in a serious way. But we know Aaron's children and his lineage, but we don't know Joseph Smith's or and Moses' children in the same way, especially those who are Church of Jesus Christ. Now, those who in the Reformed Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they know the Joseph Smith children, but again, it's they're not really public figures like the ones that are the offspring of Hyrum Smith. But anyway, we have well, there's the example. Let's share this real quick and make sure we do the audio because we're going to watch Gary E. Stevenson's talk. All right, while we go through this. It says from the scriptures and our ancestors or people give you courage to stay true to the spiritual experiences you have had. Eliza R. Snow, with great courage that she exemplified after being abused by several men at the same time. Well, what courage! I mean, this is just the most disgusting kind of abuse against people of the church that, when you take that kind of approach to trying to destroy somebody's life, it's the worst, all right? It just doesn't, I mean, I think it should be right up there with capital punishment anybody that takes on that animalistic role in their lives as a male species should be hung. All right, that's my opinion. And these people got away with every kind of atrocity because the government allowed it against the Latter-day Saints. Again, just looking at their lives and their stories, it gives me courage to when I'm at when I'm having doubts, I look to their testimonies and say these people lived through all the things that I'm concerned about. All right. So again, let me make sure I don't have anybody trying to get a hold of me. That's might want to join me. Again, share, like, and subscribe to the channel. Share and like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. And you can always find me on Facebook, Arthur A.J. Hill, or on a Facebook group called For the Love of God. So let's continue on here. And we'll go to Gary E. Stevens, Nourishing and Bearing Your Testimony. All right, let's see if we can get there. All right. And then we'll get to the next page here. And we're going to pause. And we're going to stop sharing here. And then we're going to share this screen and continue on. All right. Let's make sure we back it up.
Defining moments in life come often and unexpectedly, even when you are still young. Allow me to share a story about a high school student, Kevin, chosen to travel out of state for a student leader event, as told in his own words. My turn in line came, and the official-looking registration clerk asked for my name. She looked at her list and said, "So you're the young man from Utah." "You mean I'm the only one?" I asked. Yes, the only one. She handed me my name tag with Utah printed below my name. As I clipped it on, I felt like I was being branded. I crowded into the hotel elevator with 5 other high school students with name tags like mine. "Hey, you're from Utah. Are you a Mormon?" asked one student. I felt out of place with all these student leaders from all over the country. "Yes," I hesitantly admitted. "You're the guys who believe in Joseph Smith."
Okay. So given that situation, people, what a great opportunity to start spreading the gospel. All right. Now, as a high school person, it's kind of hard, but let's take an opportunity here just to kind of help you develop a skill that will allow you to speak freely about the gospel in any situation. Right. So the kids in the elevator said, "Hey, you're from Utah. You one of them Mormons?" This would have been a good response. Actually, that name was given to us by those who hated us. So that lights them up right there. All right. I would say I am a Latter-day Saint who is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ. And we've been given that name by, like I said, the haters. And that even the name Christian was given to those who were saints in the Bible who were called Christians. All right. They were called Christians because the people put that label on them that hated them. All right. So again, now you can go back in history and talk about Joseph Smith and talk about uh, uh, the split between the Church of Jesus Christ that is now in Utah and the one that state of Missouri, uh, and it's called the Ref, Reformed Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So now you get to talk about history and Joseph Smith and the gospel and the restoration. So again, that's a great easy opening for a good conversation. All right. So again, use discouraging, disparaging words and titles as a way to introduce the gospel.
Who said he saw angels. You don't actually believe that, do you?
Let's move that back a little bit.
I didn't know what to say. The students in the elevator, you're the guys who one student. I felt out of place with all these student leaders from all over the country. "Yes," I hesitantly admitted. "You're the guys who believe in Joseph Smith, who said he saw angels. You don't actually believe that, do you?" I didn't know what to say. The students in the elevator were all staring at me. I had just arrived, and already everyone thought I was different. I became a little defensive, but then said, "I know that Joseph Smith was a prophet of God." Where had that come from, I wondered. I didn't know I had it in me. But the words felt true. "Yeah, I was told you were..."
I have to tell this story. It was the first time I knew that Joseph Smith was a prophet of God. Um, it and it was just this incredible moment. Where did I go here? Unbelievable what I do. Anyway, let's talk about the story. Um, Me and my friend had conversed many a times about religion, especially about the Church of Jesus Christ, and he was all over me about the church because of his position and as an anti-Mormon, um, and he was always trying to tear the church down as much as he could, and um, and so one day we're at work, all right. This is about 26 years ago or 27 years ago, whatever it was. And so I'm still kind of contemplating everything, religion, getting feedback from a lot of different people, listening to everything. But anyway, comes by. I'm on a 8 foot by 4 foot bench that separates me and him, and he's about 5 feet away from the bench. And so the 4 foot side plus, so he's 9 feet away from me. And he stops and he says, AJ, you know that Joseph Smith was a con man, and he created the church so he could have uh, all the women that he could have power over the women and get rich. And and I stood there and I don't know where it came from. I'm serious as a heart attack. I don't know where it came from, but it happened. I stood there and I spoke as a roaring lion, not yelling, but with power and presence. I said, I said to him, there's nothing you or anyone can say that would make me deny that Joseph Smith was a prophet of God. And the way that it was presented with that kind of power and force, and this wasn't my words, I was like, even I was shocked by the moment. And and my friend just moved on. He didn't want to say anything more anymore. Actually, it took me 2 weeks to convince him that it was okay to talk about religion some more. They were having a good time. That 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 was a moment that happened, but we could continue on being friends and carry on with that conversation. So that's the kind of moment he was like put off. So he was shocked by the moment as much as I was. All right. That was the first time that I knew that Joseph Smith was a prophet of God. And I hadn't had all the spiritual experiences that I later have that validates the doctrines of the gospel. That that was the first spiritual experience. That that somebody forced me to the wall and says, "Here, now do what you will with this," and I did. And like I said, it shocked both of us.
Just religious nuts, he said. With that, there was an uncomfortable pause as the elevator door opened. As we gathered our luggage, he walked down the hall, laughing. Then a voice behind me asked, "Hey, don't Mormons have some sort of another Bible?" "Oh, no, not again." I turned to see another student who had been in the elevator with me, Christopher. "It's called the Book of Mormon," I said, wanting to drop the subject. I picked up my bags and started walking down the hall. "Is that the book Joseph Smith translated?" he asked. "Yes, it is," I answered. I kept on walking.
That's a nice way to ask that question. That is that the but because this guy obviously this is the story where the high schooler is converting another kid through the fact that he's not, he didn't have to say, yeah, I'm a part of the church, that kind of thing. He could have just said, hey, that matter's left to the door. I don't want to even talk about it. All right. But obviously he's got enough presence that he's willing to say, yes, that's where I'm at. And we have to. We cannot ever deny our position in the church and our attachment to it.
Hoping to avoid embarrassment. "Well, do you know how I could get one?" A scripture I learned in seminary suddenly came to me. I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. As this entered my mind, I felt ashamed that I'd been so embarrassed. For the rest of the week, that scripture wouldn't leave me. I answered as many questions about the church as I could, and I made many friends. I discovered I was proud of my religion. I gave Christopher a Book of Mormon. He later wrote me, telling me he had invited the missionaries to his home. I learned not to be embarrassed to share my testimony. I'm inspired by Kevin's courage. By the way, he's now a bishop serving.
I want to remind you, especially those, if you have children, if you have friends that have teenagers and stuff, again, that story of, or that understanding that children at the age of 16, 17 years old, from the age of 17 to about 31, that's where they lose themselves to the world. All right. From religion. And then after 30 something, they start to return back to religion. But there is the most opportune time for a high schooler that is a member of the church to really have the greatest amount of opportunity to impact another person's life who's their peer. And because every teenager is looking for significant change in their lives at that age. And if your life is the world and you're presented with this whole new world that is unlike the world that you are in, then you're going to want to make that huge change to embrace something else, something significant that alters your life. So great opportunity for older teenagers, especially.
In Indiana, it's a courage repeated every day by faithful members of the church throughout the world. As I share my thoughts, I invite you to reflect upon these 4 questions. Do I understand what a testimony is? Do I know how to bear my testimony? What are the obstacles in sharing my testimony? How do I keep my testimony? Your testimony is a most precious possession, often associated with deep spiritual feelings. These feelings are usually communicated quietly and described as a still, small voice. It is your belief or knowledge of truth given as a spiritual witness through the influence of the Holy Ghost. Acquiring this witness will change what you say and how you act. Key elements of your testimony confirmed by the Holy Ghost include 5 elements. God is your heavenly Father.
Uh, I've got all kinds of stories. So let me add my story here because it's kind of interesting that this kid's in the elevator with 5 other people, and and they start to kind of chide at him a little bit. Uh, One of the places I used to work, I was all alone when it came to members of the church. There was nobody else except for me, except for one had left the church. But anyway, I come into the break room, and it's a small room, 13 by 10 maybe. And one of my friends there, um, he's like, and there's 7 people in the room. He's like, "Hey, isn't it written that you should not add or take away from the Bible?" So I'm well seasoned by then. I said, "Show me the list. Show me the list of books that are that are written in the Bible that tells us exactly what books are supposed to be in the Bible." And so I went on, and there was other people kind of chiming in a little bit here and there, but I held my ground and I was able to articulate uh, a message back to the people that were there that were affected by it. And again, he walked away from the conversation in so many words because I was prepared to answer that question. I was prepared to give an answer.
You are his child. He loves you. Jesus Christ lives. He is the Son of the living God and your Savior and Redeemer. Joseph Smith is a prophet of God, called to restore the Church of Jesus Christ. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is God's restored church on the earth. The restored Church of Jesus Christ is led by a living prophet today. You bear your testimony when you share spiritual feelings with others. As a member of the church, opportunities to bear your spoken testimony come in formal church meetings or in less formal one-on-one conversations with family, friends, and others. Another way you share your testimony is through your righteous behavior. Your testimony in Jesus Christ isn't just what you say, it's who you are. Each time you bear vocal witness or demonstrate through your actions your commitment to follow Jesus Christ, you invite others to come unto Christ.
Whenever we bear our testimony and verbalize something of that significance, it actually allows you to stand in a stronger position, because those words, that just thinking about it is not enough. But when you actually vocally say it publicly and you actually have a real connection to those words, you're not just making, just not creating words to entertain, but you actually physically are attached to each one of those words that you speak. And it empowers that moment. It empowers you, that and it makes your testimony become more and more one with you because of those experiences that you have. So when you have a chance, always bear your testimony, because those words become more and more meaningful to you as you speak them, especially in times where you might find yourself being uh, kind of looked upon as being out of place. Well, put yourself in place and draw them into that place. Don't you be drawn into their place. You draw them into your place, into your conversation about why you believe. Right? But if you don't have one, get your testimony. And it's hard. It's not easy. It's not something you acquire overnight. It's through experiences, continued experiences that you have, that you develop your testimony. And it's not because of the good times that you're going that will strengthen your testimony. It's all the hard times that you go through because of your testimony that it is strengthened if you go through those experiences, trials and tribulations, and you still anytime you're having a doubt, you go straight to the Lord and say, I'm not going to give up on this, because you've already taught me this, and I've trusted it, and I have a testimony there on this principle, this understanding, this law. I am assured that you will eventually give me clarity on these matters, and I'm not, and he's going to be there for you, and he's going to continue to strengthen you. But if you don't keep that process up, where when you have doubt and you go straight to the Lord and you go to him with sincerity, and you do not exhaust the matter, and you've already had some structure of a foundation, so you can go back to and say, I remember this is where I start, and I'm sure that things are going to eventually work their way out. Again, the pioneers are a great place for our strength to overcome our difficulties, because they lived through all the questions we have about our history, about our theology. They lived through, they experienced, and they overcome, and they endured to the end.
Members of the church stand as witnesses of God at all times and in all places. Opportunities to do this in the digital universe, using inspiring content of our own or sharing uplifting content prepared by others, are endless. We testify when we love, share, and invite, even online. Your tweets direct.
I want to give you something here to understand. This love, share, and invite all right? And they articulate it this way, but they missed, all right? Sometimes everybody misses, all right? I miss, everybody misses. But I'm going to articulate this idea first, and then I'm going to help you with this love, share, and invite in a significant way. That which is at the tip of your tongue is that which you love the most. All right. So whenever I talk about things about with anybody, I'm not talking about cars. I'm not talking about sports. I'm not talking about the weather. I'm not talking about Donald Trump or religion or politics. If I'm talking to you about those things, it's not the first thought of my mind. I'm slowly walking you into a conversation about Jesus Christ. When I talk about Santa Claus, we're going to be talking about Jesus Christ. When I'm talking about the weather, there's one occasion whenever I went to with the missionaries, the we went to a house where we were trying to meet one person, and she wasn't there, and this guy came out, and we started talking, and we introduced ourselves, of course, uh, and the guy when we said, "Hey, you want to have a conversation, about these matters that really matter." Um, he's like, "No, I really don't talk about religion." I said, "Hey, he was wearing a Raiders shirt." And so I started talking to him about the Raiders and about sports. And then I started talking to him about a friend of mine that went down to the LA Galaxy and tried out for them as a walk-on, and he was quite good enough that he even made the first day cut and was in the top of the second day. And there was like 900 people down there that came to this open tryout. And he's really good. And he, uh, he, I started talking to him about that. And then I talked about how he gave up on college and things like that because he went on a mission. And then we started to talk about his mission. We started talking about stories that he had. And then we talked about so much. Then we started to get into spiritual things in a big way. So, yeah, I led him to a conversation. They might not want to go, they'll go there kicking and screaming sometimes, but they'll go. They'll go. Just got to find out. I've had a couple other people. One person that was his brother joined the church, and they were hateful towards each other when they had conversations and about the church. And he told me whenever I met him, he says, and I told him my religion. He says, "I don't talk about your church because of the situation I have with my brother." I said, "Okay." And in my mind, I said, I'll get you in. I'll walk you to the door, and we'll open that door and we'll start talking." And so we did. And I walked them all the way into it. And we didn't stop having those conversations till we parted ways because I got fired from a job that I refused to lie and to tell fabrications about what was really going on in the plant. So anyway, so that was funny. So nobody is out there that is unavailable. They're all available.
Messages and posts will take on a higher, holier purpose when you also use social media to show how the gospel of Jesus Christ shapes your life. Obstacles to sharing your testimony may include uncertainty about what to say. Matthew Cowley, an early apostle, shared this experience as he departed on a 5-year mission at age 17 to New Zealand. Quote, "I will never forget the day I left my father's last words to me. My boy, when you go out on that mission, and sometimes when you're called upon, you will think you're wonderfully prepared. But when you stand up, your mind will go completely blank." I said, "What do you do when your mind goes blank?" He said, "You stand up there, and with all the fervor of your soul, you will bear witness that Joseph Smith was a prophet of the living God. And thoughts will flood into your mind and words to your mouth, to the heart of everyone who listens." And so my mind, being mostly blank during my mission, gave me the opportunity to bear testimony to the greatest event in the history of the world since the crucifixion and resurrection of the Master. Try it sometime, boys and girls. If you don't have anything else to say, testify that Joseph Smith was the prophet of God, and the whole history of the world, of the church, will flood into your mind. Close.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to finish this whole video because I've got a lot to reflect on because we're talking about missionary work, talking about testimonies. And it's been a wonderful week, and we'll be here to again tomorrow, of course, and we'll look at the next part here in a minute. Again, please share, like, subscribe. Please share and like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button. Also, leave a comment if you get a chance. If you've made it this way, this far through, I really appreciate those who have joined me this day. If you find this content to be boring, then join me. Make it something different. Again, I know that at least one person out there enjoys this immensely, and I appreciate her participation. And she sends me text and things like that, and let me know of her feelings on the day's content, and I really appreciate that. And again, you can find me at Facebook, Arthur A.J. Hill, and a Facebook group called For the Love of God. Also Instagram, A Latter-day Saint on Fire. And again, if you want to be a participant, just ask me for a Zoom link and I'll get you in. Anyway, it's I lost my train of thought. I'm going to let him continue on with his part. There was something he was saying that I was going to reflect on, but
Quote.
lost.
Likewise, President Dallin H. Oaks shared, "Sometimes testimonies are better gained on the feet bearing them than on the knees praying for them. The Spirit bears witness to the speaker and listener alike." Another obstacle, as Kevin's story emphasized, is fear. As Paul wrote to Timothy, "God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love. Be not ashamed of the testimony of our Lord." You see, feelings of fear don't come from the Lord, but most often from the adversary. Having faith as Kevin did will allow you to overcome these feelings and freely share what is in your heart. How do I keep my testimony? I believe a testimony is innate within us, yet in order to keep it and more fully develop it, Alma taught that we must nourish our testimony with much care. As we do so, it will get root and grow up and bring forth fruit. Without this, it withers away. Each beloved member of the First Presidency has provided us with direction on.
But understand this, Jesus Christ taught us in the parable of the sower that when we share the gospel with some people, some will have a stony heart. Well, actually, yeah, stony heart, and they will reject the words. And then some have a heart that is tied to the world in such a way, even if they embrace it, they'll just be choked out by the world. And then there's those who have hearts of 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 great soil, where when they receive the gospel, that they will embrace it, that they will flourish because the sun and its light. All right. So remember that not everybody's going to be ready to receive the gospel, but we don't know who those people are. So we can't just arbitrarily determine, well, this person is and this person not. Now, again, I've had experiences that had led me to missionary experiences that are out of this world. But anyway, I'm spoiled. Um, but again, we don't know who. I have a friend at work who says to me, you know, comes with his background of colorful language, and he says, "I'm going to change you, AJ, and you're gonna be just like me." I said, "We'll see." And one day he said to me, "Hey, AJ, what do you think about me?" I said, "You're a great human being. I think you have such a great uh, disposition about yourself." He was like, and he was shocked by probably um, that because he is. He changed his life from a world of thuggery into a life that because of his children, they actually moved him to give that world up and to do something and change his life. And anybody that has enough awareness about himself and loves his children enough in that way is a great human being. We So don't give up on individuals just because of maybe some artwork that might make their disposition look a little bit off colored because you never know. Again, whenever the Ammon went to the Lamanites, I'm sure they had some artwork on their body or whatever that showed their countenance to be quite uh, quite hideous in a lot of ways. But he went to those the people of Lamoni, and the whole place was converted. They call them the Ammonites. All right. So anyway, I am blessed by the Lord. I am blessed by those who will watch uh, this presentation today, and we will be back tomorrow. And please finish that uh, the video. It's a good talk, real good talk. And tomorrow, let's see where we're at here. See, we never get through all the curriculum. We never really do. It's amazing, an hour and a half a day, and we still don't get through it. And there was a couple of days that we had an hour or so, but for whatever reason. Let's see where we're at here. Let's go to the library. Why does it look like that? Library. And then we're going to come follow me, and we're going to see what the curriculum is for next week. All right. January. We're still in January, so we went through that one. The Voices of the Restoration. All right. So next week it'll be tomorrow. Actually, we're in the week now, but tomorrow we will be discussing Joseph Smith's family. All right, we started doing that a little bit today, but tomorrow we're going to get into it even more, and we'll prepare a few things that we can really chew on. Uh, Joseph Smith's family, we are each profoundly affected by our family, and Joseph Smith was no different. His parents' religious conviction and practices planted seeds of faith that made the restoration possible. Joseph's journal records this tribute. This tribute. Um, I read that wrong. Words and languages are inadequate to express the gratitude that I owe to God for having given me so honorable a parentage. So anyway, that's where we're going tomorrow, and hopefully you can join me. Again, share, like, subscribe to the share and like this video, subscribe to the channel. Um, Go ahead and leave a comment if you made it this far. Really appreciate it. You staying with it. Again, we we wanted to continue this daily. Uh, Come follow me. Wake up with come follow me. It's so we can get the day started with the Lord. And I know that our Father in heaven truly loves us, and And he said his only begotten son, that he called the prophet Joseph Smith, the man known as Joseph Smith Jr. as a prophet of God to restore his kingdom here on this earth. And I know that Russell M. Nelson's that prophet today. And I say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. And you guys have a great day. And we